The soft hum of early morning traffic was just beginning to stir outside the daily grind. A small independent coffee shop nestled amidst the bustling financial district. Inside, the air was thick with the rich aroma of freshly brewed Colombian beans and the sweet scent of warm pastries. Maya, with her dark curls perpetually escaping a loose bun and a faint dusting of flour on her black apron, moved with practiced ease behind the counter. Before we continue, tell us where in the world you are watching from. Drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful content like this. At 26, she'd spent the last 4 years perfecting the art of the latte and, more importantly, the art of blending in. Her dreams of becoming an illustrator felt as distant as the shimmering skyscrapers that framed the cafe's windows. Each espresso shot pulled was a moment further from her sketchbook. Each customer, a reminder of the vibrant, purposeful lives she imagined others led. She preferred the quiet rhythm of her work, the predictable clatter of ceramic cups, the murmured thank you. It kept the nagging questions about her own stalled ambitions at bay. The chime above the door announced a new arrival, and Maya's gaze, almost by reflex, drifted to the figure entering. It was Eleanor Vance. For the past 6 months, Eleanor had been a silent fixture in the cafe, always arriving precisely at 7:15 a.m., always occupying the same corner booth. Her order, a meticulous triple espresso, black. She was a woman who exuded an aura of cool, tailored confidence. Her sharp suits and even sharper intelligence practically palpable. Her blonde hair, styled with an effortless grace, always seemed to catch the morning light just so. But beneath the polished exterior, Maya had observed a profound stillness, a solitude that seemed to cling to Eleanor like an expensive perfume. There was a faint tremor in her hands when she cradled her cup, a distant look in her piercing blue eyes that spoke of burdens carried silently. "The usual?" Maya asked, her voice soft, already reaching for the familiar espresso cups, though their interaction had never extended beyond this simple transactional exchange. Eleanor paused, her gaze finally meeting Maya's across the polished countertop, and a flicker of something unreadable passed between them. It was the first time in all those months that Eleanor had truly looked at Maya, not just through her. "Actually," Eleanor began, her voice a low contralto that sent a surprising shiver down Maya's spine. "I'd like that to go today." She hesitated, her perfectly manicured fingers drumming a light rhythm against marble. "And I wonder if I might speak with you for a moment privately?" Maya's heart gave an unexpected lurch. This was unprecedented. Their silent understanding, built over countless mornings, was suddenly, startlingly broken. "Of course," Maya managed, after a moment of surprised silence. "Let me just ask my manager." A quick word with Leo, who was currently engrossed in a particularly challenging Sudoku, and Maya found herself sitting opposite Eleanor in the very corner booth Eleanor always claimed. Up close, the subtle signs of Eleanor's inner world were more apparent. The faint lines of fatigue around her eyes, the way her shoulders, despite their elegant posture, seemed to carry an invisible weight. "I know this will sound completely unorthodox," Eleanor started, her voice hushed, as if sharing a profound secret. "But I have a proposition for you." Maya waited, her breath held, a strange mix of apprehension and curiosity swirling within her. "There's an event this evening," Eleanor continued, her words rushing out in a practiced yet slightly breathless cascade. "A corporate awards dinner, very high profile, lots of industry eyes, potential investors." She seemed to be steeling herself, her gaze fixed just over Maya's shoulder. "I need someone to accompany me. Not as a romantic partner precisely, but as a credible, engaging companion who can help me project an image of not being entirely alone." Eleanor reached into her impeccably tailored blazer and produced a crisp white envelope. Sliding it across the polished tabletop. There's $1,000 in here. All you would need to do is wear a suitable dress, engage in polite conversation, and pose for a few photographs for a couple of hours. I realize this is highly unconventional, asking a complete stranger. But why me? Maya interjected, the question escaping before she could filter it. It was a genuine query born of disbelief. Eleanor, a woman who moved in circles Maya could only imagine, was asking her, a barista, to be her date? Eleanor was silent for a long moment, her blue eyes finally meeting Maya's directly, a flicker of raw honesty in their depths. Because you're the only person who's ever looked at me and seen something beyond a title, the company, the expectations. You see, just me, not a CEO, not a success story, not a potential business contact, just someone who drinks too much coffee and sits alone. The unexpected vulnerability in Eleanor's voice resonated deep within Maya. She thought of the overdue art supplies, the looming rent increase, the recent string of rejections from design firms that had left her feeling increasingly despondent. She thought of how long it had been since she'd done anything that felt genuinely exciting, anything that pushed her beyond the safe, predictable confines of her routine. What time should I be ready? Maya heard herself say, the words feeling both entirely foreign and perfectly natural. Eleanor's relief was almost palpable, a subtle easing of her rigid posture. 7 p.m., I'll send a car for you. She stood, leaving the envelope on the table. And Maya, thank you. You have no idea what this means to me. As Eleanor walked away, her departure as graceful as her arrival, Maya stared at the thick envelope, its contents a baffling, exhilarating mystery. What had she just agreed to? Outside, the city was slowly waking, and a sliver of sunlight breaking through the perpetual Seattle clouds streamed through the cafe windows, bathing everything in a soft, golden glow. It felt, to Maya, like the fragile promise of something new. Maya's small apartment, a cozy but cluttered space, filled with art supplies, stacks of books, and half-finished canvases, felt impossibly small at 5:30 p.m. The $1,000 sat on her bedside table, a sum that represented both a lifeline and a profound question mark. But for all its immediate utility, it couldn't solve the most pressing problem. Her wardrobe, a collection of comfortable jeans, worn t-shirts, and practical sweaters, contained absolutely nothing suitable for a high-profile corporate awards dinner. Her phone buzzed, a notification from an unknown number. Car will arrive at 6:45 p.m. A package is waiting for you at your building's front desk. Maya's heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs as she raced downstairs. Her building's elderly superintendent, Mr. Henderson, a man of few words but sharp observation, handed her an elegant black garment bag, its contents hinting at luxury. Looks like you've got a big night, Miss Sharma, he offered with a rare, knowing smile. Someone special, eh? Back in the sanctuary of her apartment, Maya unzipped the bag with trembling fingers. Inside lay a dress that stole her breath, a deep sapphire blue silk cut with exquisite simplicity that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Beneath it were delicate silver heels, a subtle necklace, and a handwritten note on thick cream paper. I hope this fits. My assistant may have done some discreet research. Thank you again for tonight. Eleanor. Maya held the dress up to herself in front of her full-length mirror, a relic from a yard sale. It was perfect, not overly ornate, yet undeniably elegant, and somehow, despite Eleanor knowing so little about her, it felt entirely her. The sheer thoughtfulness of the gesture sent a strange, unfamiliar warmth spreading through Maya's chest, a feeling she wasn't quite ready to dissect. As she got ready, Maya found herself taking more care than usual. She let her dark curls cascade freely around her shoulders, framing her face. She applied makeup with a slow, deliberate hand, tracing her eyes with a confident sweep she hadn't felt in months. And when she finally slipped into the sapphire silk, she barely recognized the woman looking back at her. The reflection was poised, sophisticated, like someone who belonged in rooms filled with powerful people. For a fleeting moment, Maya allowed herself to inhabit this fantasy, to imagine a life where she wore beautiful clothes, attended important events, and held a place of consequence in the world. At precisely 6:45 p.m., a sleek black town car pulled up outside her building. The driver, a kind-faced woman in her 50s named Sarah, held the door open for her. "Miss Sharma, I'm Sarah. Ms. Vance asked me to ensure your comfort this evening." The drive through Seattle's gently illuminated evening traffic offered Maya a quiet space for reflection. She was, essentially, being paid to perform a role, to provide a temporary illusion for a woman she barely knew. It should have felt transactional, perhaps even a little demeaning. Yet instead, it felt like an unexpected adventure, the most interesting thing that had happened to her in years. They pulled up to the grand ballroom entrance, where a flurry of photographers lined a short red carpet. Maya's stomach clenched. "I didn't realize there would be press." Sarah met her eye in the rearview mirror, her smile reassuring. "Ms. Vance is waiting just inside. She asked me to tell you that you look absolutely stunning, and to remember that you are meant to be here as much as anyone else." The words were a quiet anchor. Maya stepped out of the car, her new heels clicking softly against the pavement as she walked towards the illuminated entrance. The photographers, scanning for more recognizable faces, barely registered her presence. She was nobody to them, but she held her head high anyway. Inside the lavish lobby, Maya spotted Eleanor immediately. She was standing near a marble pillar, a vision in a sleek black gown that accentuated her graceful silhouette. When her eyes met across the room, Eleanor's composed features softened, the professional mask she usually wore melting away, replaced by an expression of genuine warmth, almost surprise. "Maya," Eleanor breathed as she moved towards her, her voice a low murmur. "You look truly remarkable." "So do you," Maya replied, her voice steady, and she meant it with every fiber of her being. Up close, Eleanor was even more striking. Her blonde hair was styled in an elegant updo, and her subtle makeup highlighted the intensity of her blue eyes. But it was the way she was looking at Maya, a gaze of quiet appreciation, as if she had discovered something truly beautiful and unexpected that made Maya's pulse quicken. "Are you ready for this?" Eleanor asked, offering her arm. Maya hesitated for only a second before linking their arms, surprised by how natural the gesture felt, how perfectly their forearms fit together. "As ready as I'll ever be," she whispered. As they walked towards the main ballroom, Eleanor leaned close enough for Maya to catch the subtle, sophisticated scent of her perfume, a fragrance that made Maya want to breathe deeper, to commit the moment to memory. "Just so you know," Eleanor murmured, her voice a low confession, "I've never done anything like this before. I'm usually very good at being alone." "Well," Maya whispered back, faint smile playing on her lips, "and I'm usually very good at being invisible. I suppose we're both venturing into new territory tonight." Eleanor's laugh was soft, a genuine sound that held a surprising resonance in the opulent space. And in that moment, Maya realized that for the first time in what felt like a very long time, she felt truly, undeniably alive. The grand ballroom of the hotel was a breathtaking tableau of understated luxury. Crystal chandeliers dripped with light, casting a warm glow over round tables adorned with deep emerald linens and towering centerpieces of white orchids and silver foliage. The city's elite, captains of industry and philanthropic titans, mingled with champagne flutes in hand, their conversations sophisticated hum beneath the elegant strains of a live jazz trio. Maya felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere as they entered, a collective turning of heads, though she knew the attention was primarily for Eleanor. Eleanor Vance commanded a presence, the kind of woman who could effortlessly draw every eye in a room simply by walking into it. "Eleanor, my dear," a silver-haired man in an impeccably tailored tuxedo, his smile wide but somehow calculated, approached them. "Splendid to see you here. The Foundation is so grateful for your continued generosity." "Frederick," Eleanor replied smoothly, her public persona, cool and composed, clicking into place like a perfectly fitted lock. "It's always a pleasure. Allow me to introduce Maya Sharma. Maya, this is Frederick Hayes, chairman of the Philanthropic Foundation." Maya extended her hand, grateful for the hours she'd spent researching basic social etiquette online that afternoon. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Hayes. The work your foundation does is truly inspiring." Frederick's handshake was firm, his eyes appraising, lingering on Maya for a moment too long. "And what is it that you do, Miss Sharma?" For a split second, Maya, could she invent some impressive corporate-adjacent career that would fit seamlessly into this craft? But then, she felt Eleanor's hand find the small of her back, a gentle, steadying pressure through the silk of her dress. "Maya is an artist," Eleanor said, her voice clear and resonant, before Maya could even formulate a response. "She's working on a graphic novel that promises to be truly groundbreaking." It wasn't entirely untrue. Maya had indeed been toiling on the same graphic novel for 3 years. She'd barely touched it in months, feeling the weight of self-doubt. But the way Eleanor spoke, with such unwavering confidence and evident pride, made it sound significant, worthy of respect. "How utterly fascinating," Frederick replied, though his attention had already begun to drift, scanning the room for more advantageous connection. "Eleanor, I was hoping we could discuss the new wing for the city gallery." "Perhaps we could." "Of course," Eleanor interrupted smoothly, her grip on Maya's arm subtly tight. "But first, I promised Maya I'd show her the silent auction." "We'll catch up with you later, Frederick." As they moved away, Maya felt Eleanor's hand remain on her back, a warm, guiding touch through the fine silk. She found herself acutely aware of every point of contact, a subtle electricity sparking between them. "Thank you," Maya murmured, once they were safely out of Frederick's orbit. "For the artist thing, I wasn't sure what to say." "It's true, isn't it?" Eleanor asked, stopping near a display of intricate sculptures that served as auction items. "You are an artist, even if your work isn't widely published yet. Don't let people like Frederick make you feel like your dreams are any less valid because they haven't made you rich or famous." Conviction in Eleanor's voice surprised Maya. "You sound like you speak from experience." Eleanor's smile was wry, a fleeting shadow of a deeper story. "I spent years letting people define my worth by my company's valuation and my portfolio. It's a remarkably lonely existence." She gestured towards the auction display with an elegant sweep of her hand. "Shall we pretend to be captivated by these exorbitantly priced pieces while I subtly point out who to avoid and who might actually be worth cultivating a connection with?" For the next hour, they moved through the room with the practiced grace of a seasoned pair, a perfectly choreographed dance. Eleanor introduced Maya to influential tech innovators, renowned philanthropists, and prominent public figures, always with that same quiet pride in her voice. Maya, to her own surprise, found herself relaxing into the role, discovering a surprising knack for engaging in polite conversation, especially when she felt genuinely seen and valued. "You're a natural at this," Eleanor murmured during a brief moment when they found themselves alone at their assigned table, waiting for the evening's program to begin. "I was genuinely concerned you might feel overwhelmed." "I did at first," Maya admitted, watching Eleanor's slender fingers trace the rim of her champagne glass. But you make it easier. The way you introduce me, like I actually belong here, it makes me feel like maybe I do. Eleanor's piercing blue eyes met hers across the table, and for a suspended moment, the background din of the gala faded into a soft, distant murmur. You do belong here, Maya. You belong anywhere you choose to be. Or Maya could respond, the lights in the ballroom dimmed, signaling the commencement of the evening's formal program. As the Foundation's director took the stage to speak about their latest initiative, Maya found herself subtly studying Eleanor's profile in the soft ambient. There was a fragile vulnerability about the way Eleanor listened. Her usual mask of cool composure softened by genuine emotion. A video presentation began, showcasing heartfelt testimonials from individuals whose lives had been positively impacted by the Foundation's work. Maya noticed Eleanor's hands clench almost imperceptibly in her lap. Without thinking, acting purely on instinct, Maya reached over and gently covered one of Eleanor's hands with her own. Eleanor started slightly, a faint gasp escaping her lips, then slowly turned her hand palm up, allowing their fingers to intertwine. Her skin was soft, warm, and Maya could feel a faint tremor running through Eleanor's fingers as a young woman on screen spoke with quiet gratitude about her journey. "Are you all right?" Maya whispered, her voice barely audible above the emotional swells of the video. Eleanor nodded, but her grip on Maya's hand tightened, a silent confirmation. I was that little girl, different city, different circumstances, but I know what it's like to feel utterly lost and alone in situations that feel too big for you." The admission was so quiet, so unexpectedly raw, that Maya almost missed it amidst the collective sniffles and hushed murmurs of the audience. She squeezed Eleanor's hand gently, offering what comfort she could without words, a silent pact of understanding forming between them. Around them, the sophisticated audience was moved to tears by the powerful stories unfolding on screen. But Maya found herself more profoundly affected by the woman beside her, this powerful, successful CEO who had once been a frightened child grappling with her own struggle. When the lights eventually brightened for the anticipated auction portion of the evening, Eleanor seemed to physically shake herself back to her present, but she didn't release Maya's hand, and Maya didn't pull away. Whatever this was, this unexpected connection, this fragile moment of shared vulnerability, it felt too precious, too profoundly real to break you. Eleanor said softly, her thumb brushing a light, comforting rhythm across Maya's neck. "Being here, this." Maya's heart hammered a frantic drum against her ribs. "Thank you for asking me." As the auctioneer, a charismatic figure in a glittering tuxedo, began the bidding on the first item, lavish week-long retreat to a secluded island resort, Maya realized that somewhere between the clink of champagne glasses and the shared knowing glances, between Eleanor's protective hand on her back and the raw, vulnerable confession in the dim light, this had stopped feeling like a performance. It was starting to feel dangerously, exhilaratingly real. The auction was in full boisterous swing when Maya excused herself to find the ladies' room, needing a moment to disentangle herself from the evening's unexpected emotional complexity. The celebratory champagne had left her feeling warm and a little lightheaded, but it was Eleanor's touch, the way their fingers had remained entwined throughout the evening's program, that had truly left her off balance. The ladies' room was a sanctuary of hushed marble and soft lighting, a stark, serene contrast to the vibrant, buzzing energy of the ballroom. Maya stood before an ornate, gilded mirror, dabbing at her lipstick and trying to bring some semblance of order to her racing thought. This was supposed to be straightforward. Show up, smile politely, collect her fee, and return to her quiet, predictable life. Instead, she found herself genuinely, deeply invested in the woman who had hired her, drawn inexorably to the surprising vulnerability that lay beneath Eleanor's perfectly polished exterior. Well, well, well. A sharp voice cut through the quiet, making Maya jump. Eleanor's mysterious date. Maya turned to find a woman in her 40s emerging from one of the stalls. She was blonde, impeccably coiffed, with a smile that was all surface, failing to reach the cold calculation in her eyes. She wore a crimson dress that probably cost more than Maya made in 6 months. "I'm sorry," Maya said, maintaining her composure despite the woman's palpable hostility. "Cordelia Price," the woman announced, extending a perfectly manicured hand, her nails a sharp, predatory red. "I'm sure Eleanor has mentioned me. We have quite a substantial history." Maya shook the offered hand briefly, the touch surprisingly cold. "I'm Maya Sharma." "Yes, I gathered that from the introductions, though I must say you're not precisely Eleanor's usual type." Cordelia's eyes swept over Maya with a blatant, dismissive appraisal. "She typically gravitates towards the formidable corporate types, ambitious women who can match her drive, you know." "What did you say you do again?" "I'm an artist," Maya replied, lifting her chin slightly, a spark of defiance igniting within her. Cordelia's laugh was like breaking glass, sharp and artificial. "How utterly charming! And where, pray tell, did you two meet?" "I can't quite picture Eleanor frequenting the bohemian haunts where struggling artists tend to congregate." The words stung, not because they were entirely untrue, but because they were delivered with such calculated malice, aimed directly at Maya's most tender insecurities. But Maya refused to let this woman see her flinch. "We met at a coffee shop, actually. Sometimes the most meaningful connections happen in the most unexpected places." "A coffee shop," Cordelia repeated, as if the words themselves tasted bitter on her tongue. "How quaint. Though I suppose Eleanor always did have a certain weakness for projects." Before Maya could formulate a retort, the restroom door opened and Eleanor walked in, her expression shifting from a fleeting concern to something much colder, much harder, as her eyes landed on Cordelia. "Cordelia," Eleanor said, her voice carefully neutral, devoid of any warmth. "I had a feeling you might be here tonight. I was just getting acquainted with your little friend. She's quite different from your usual companions. Maya, would you mind giving us a moment?" Maya nodded, though every instinct screamed at her not to leave Eleanor alone with this woman. As she reached the door, she heard Cordelia's voice drop to a conspiratorial whisper. "Honestly, a barista. Even for you, this is quite the downgrade." Maya's hand froze on the door handle. So, Cordelia had done her research. Or perhaps Eleanor's choice of companion was far more transparent than either of them had hoped. She pushed through the door, her cheeks burning with embarrassment and something that felt uncomfortably like shame. Back in the glittering ballroom, Maya found their table and sank onto her chair, the velvet upholstery offering little comfort. Cordelia's cruel words echoed in her mind. Project, downgrade, charity case. Was that truly how people saw her? Was that deep down how Eleanor saw her? She was so lost in the swirling vortex of her own self-doubt that she didn't notice Eleanor's return until she felt a gentle, steadying hand on her shoulder. "Maya, are you all right?" You look distressed. Maya looked up to find Eleanor's piercing blue eyes filled with genuine concern. She wanted to brush off the encounter, to maintain the pleasant facade they'd meticulously constructed throughout the evening. But the words tumbled out before she could stop them. "She called me a charity case, said I was a downgrade from your usual companion." Eleanor's expression darkened, a formidable anger hardening her features. Cordelia Price is a bitter, vindictive woman who thrives on making others feel small. But she's not wrong, is she? Maya interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper, choked with a sudden surge of raw emotion. I am just a barista. I am struggling, and you are. She gestured around the opulent ballroom, the glittering chandeliers, the perfectly dressed guests. You're this, your success, your power, everything I'm not. Eleanor sat down beside her, close enough that Maya could once again catch the subtle scent of her perfume, a comforting anchor in the storm of her emotion. Maya, look at me. Reluctantly, Maya met her gaze, finding an unexpected, fierce passion in their depth. Cordelia knows nothing about you. She doesn't know that you light up when you talk about your art, or that you instinctively offer kindness to strangers who seem lonely. She doesn't know that you're brave enough to take a terrifying risk, or compassionate enough to hold a stranger's hand when they're vulnerable. Intense, resonating with a conviction that reached deep into Maya's bruised heart. She sees a barista where I see a woman who crafts the most perfect coffee in the city and treats every customer like they truly matter. She sees struggling where I see someone who's tirelessly working towards her dreams instead of giving up on them. Eleanor, I asked you here tonight because you're the only person who's ever looked at me and truly seen just me. Not my money, not my company, not what I could do for them, just me. Eleanor's hand found Maya's again, intertwining their fingers, a silent, powerful connection. If anyone's a charity case here, Maya, it's me. I'm the one who was so desperate for genuine human connection that I actually paid a stranger to spend an evening with me. The raw honesty in Eleanor's voice, depth of her confession, broke something open in Maya's chest. A dam given way. You're not desperate, Maya whispered, tears now freely tracing paths down her cheeks. You're just human. We all need connection. Do we? Eleanor asked softly, her gaze holding Maya's profound question hanging in the air between them. Because I've spent so many years convincing myself I didn't need anyone that I almost believed it, until I started coming to your cafe and realized that the best part of my day was those 30 seconds when you'd smile at me while making my coffee. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Eleanor. Before either of them could say more, the auctioneer's booming voice echoed across the ballroom, announcing the final, most coveted item of the evening. Around them, crowd began to stir, the formal portion of the evening winding down. We should probably make our round, Eleanor said reluctantly, her voice betraying a hint of sorrow, though she made no move to release Maya's hand. Say our goodbyes to the important people. Make sure I'm seen being appropriately social. Maya nodded, understanding that they were both slipping back into their assigned role. But as they stood, preparing to rejoin the glittering crowd, she realized that the delicate lines between performance and reality had become impossibly, exquisitely blurred. What had begun as a simple business transaction was transforming into something else entirely, something that both terrified and thrilled her in equal, exhilarating measure. As they moved through the room, offering polite farewells and accepting compliments on what a lovely couple they made, Maya caught Eleanor watching her with an expression she couldn't quite decipher. It was tender, uncertain, and brimming with a dangerous, captivating possibility. And in that moment, Maya's heart raced with the quiet, urgent thought that maybe this didn't have to end when the evening was over. The drive back through Seattle's now hushed street was saturated with a palpable tension, a different kind of intensity than the evening's social obligations. Maya sat beside Eleanor in the back of the car, acutely aware of every subtle shift in posture, every shared breath. The space between them felt charged, electric with unspoken possibility. James, Eleanor said softly to the driver, her voice a low murmur, could you take us to the waterfront, the pier near Fisherman's Terminal? Of course, Miss Vance, James replied, his tone respectfully neutral. Maya glanced at Eleanor, a silent question in her eyes, but Eleanor was staring out the window at the city lights blurring past like streaks of vibrant paint. "I'm not ready for the evening to end," Eleanor said quietly, as if admitting a profound secret. "Are you?" Maya's heart gave a sudden, hopeful leap. "No," she whispered, "I'm not." Pier was almost deserted at this late hour. Just a few lingering night owls and the occasional couple walking hand in hand beneath the scattered lamplight. The city across Elliott Bay glittered like a spilled box of jewels, and the rhythmic lapping of the water against the pilings created a soothing, melancholic cadence that contrasted sharply with the formal elegance of the gate. They walked in a comfortable, companionable silence for a while, their heels clicking softly against the weathered wooden plank. Maya had half expected to feel awkward once they were truly alone, away from the structured purpose of the awards dinner, but instead she felt a profound sense of ease, more relaxed than she had been all evening. "Can I ask you something?" Maya ventured as they stopped at the railing overlooking the dark, shimmering water. "Anything. Why did you really ask me to come tonight? And please," Maya added, a faint plea in her voice, "don't say it was just about appearance." Eleanor was quiet for so long that Maya began to fear she had overstepped, that the fragile intimacy they'd built was about to shatter. When Eleanor finally spoke, her voice was barely audible above the gentle sigh of the wave. "Do you know what it's like?" Eleanor asked, her gaze fixed on the distant lights of the city. "To achieve everything you've ever set out to do, to be undeniably successful, and yet feel completely, utterly alone at the same time. To have everything you thought you wanted and then realize it all means nothing. You have no one genuine to share it with." Maya turned to face her fully, the cool night air raising goosebumps on her arms. In the moonlight, Eleanor looked younger, more vulnerable than she had all evening. The formidable CEO stripped away to reveal simply a woman. "I built my company from nothing," Eleanor continued, her voice gaining a quiet intensity. "Worked 18-hour days, sacrificed relationships, friendships, anything that might distract me from my goal, and I succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. But somewhere along the way, I forgot how to connect with people, how to just be real, how to simply be." "You seem pretty real to me," Maya said softly, reaching out without thinking, her hand gently resting on Eleanor's arm. Eleanor's smile was sad, a fleeting shadow. "That's because you see me differently, Maya. When you look at me, I don't see calculation or ambition or someone trying to figure out what I can do for them. I see acceptance, like I'm enough, just as I am." Maya felt her chest tighten with a powerful wave of emotion. "You are enough, Eleanor. More than am I? Sometimes I think I've forgotten how to be anything other than a CEO, how to be a woman, a friend, anything else." Without thinking, Maya tightened her grip on Eleanor's arm. "You held my hand tonight when I was nervous, defended me to Cordelia. You noticed that I was an artist before I even told you. Those aren't CEO moves, Eleanor. Those are human moves. You haven't forgotten anything. You've just been hiding it." Eleanor looked down at Maya's hand on her arm, then slowly, deliberately, back up to meet her eye. "You make me want to stop hiding." Maya felt her pulse quicken as Eleanor stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the subtle warmth radiating from her, could discern the faint flecks of silver in Eleanor's blue eyes. "Maya," Eleanor whispered, her voice barely a breath, "I need you to know that this tonight, it stopped being about the gala hours ago. For me, anyway." "For me, too," Maya admitted, her voice equally soft, equally vulnerable. Eleanor's hand came up, gently cupping Maya's cheek, her thumb brushing a feather-light rhythm across her skin. Familiar, comforting gesture. "I don't want this to end. I don't want to go back to being strangers who exchange pleasantries over coffee." "Then don't," leaning instinctively into Eleanor's touch, gaze locked with hers. "We don't have to be strangers, but we're so different," Eleanor said, though she made no move to pull away, her fingers tangling gently in Maya's curls. "Our lives, our worlds, are we really so different?" Maya countered, quiet strength in her voice. "We're both lonely. We're both scared of taking risks. We're both standing here wishing we were brave enough to see what might happen if we stopped overthinking everything." Eleanor's laugh was soft, shaky, a sound of fragile hope. "When did you become so wild?" "About 5 minutes ago," Maya admitted, making Eleanor smile, a genuine, radiant smile that lit up her face. They stood there for a long moment, space between them charged with an exhilarating, terrifying possibility. Maya could feel Eleanor's breath soft against her skin, could see the delicate war between desire and caution playing out in the depths of her blue eyes. "Should probably get you home," Eleanor said finally, her voice laced with reluctance, though she didn't move away. "Probably," Maya agreed, though she too remained rooted. "This is complicated," Eleanor whispered, her gaze searching Maya's face as if seeking confirmation or perhaps courage. "The best things usually are, Miss Van." James's voice carried across the pier, respectful but firm. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but you have an early meeting tomorrow and it's getting quite late." The spell broke. Eleanor stepped back, her professional mask subtle but present, sliding back into place, though Maya could clearly discern the faint flicker of regret in her eyes. "Of course," Eleanor said, her voice steady despite the raw emotion Maya had heard there moments before. "We should go." As they walked back to the waiting car, Maya felt the weight of missed opportunities settle over them like the cool night fog. But when Eleanor helped her into the back seat, her hand lingered on Maya's for just a moment longer than strictly necessary. And in that fleeting charge, Maya knew that whatever was happening between them wasn't over. It was, in fact, just. Maya woke to the brilliant, almost blinding Seattle sunlight streaming through her small apartment windows and the disorienting, exhilarating realization that the previous evening hadn't been a dream. The sapphire blue dress hung carefully on her closet door, shimmering sentinel, the delicate silver jewelry arranged on her nightstand like tangible evidence of a life that didn't quite feel like her own. She moved through the familiar rituals of her tiny kitchen, making coffee, her hands performing the routine task while her mind replayed every single moment of the gala, the pier. Eleanor's soft laugh, the way her eyes had softened when she'd spoken of her childhood, the almost kiss on the pier that had left Maya's heart racing and her thoughts in a joyous, beautiful chaos. Her phone buzzed with a text message, and Maya's pulse quickened when she saw Eleanor's name on the screen. "Thank you for last night. You were truly perfect. I hope you'll keep the dress. It looks better on you than it ever could on anyone else." Maya stared at the message, her mind searching for hidden meaning, reading between the carefully chosen lines. It sounded like a polite goodbye, a professional closing to their brief, intense intersection. Distant, formal, nothing like the woman who had held her hand in the dark or whispered about wanting to stop hiding. She typed and deleted a dozen responses, each one too emotional, too revealing, before finally settling on, "Thank you for everything." It was an unforgettable evening, safe, neutral, the kind of response that wouldn't complicate Eleanor's life any further. But as Maya got ready for her shift at the cafe, meticulously pulling her curls back into her usual practical bun, she couldn't shake the heavy, insistent feeling that she was making a profound mistake, that they were both making a mistake by retreating to their separate worlds when something so uniquely real had sparked between them. The morning rut, the daily grind, was particularly brutal. A relentless torrent of caffeine-dependent office workers and perpetually hurried university students. Maya threw herself into the work, grateful for the physical distraction, the mental blankness it offered. Every time the familiar chime above the door announced a new customer, her heart gave a foolish, hopeful, imagining it might be Eleanor. It never was. "You're distracted today," Leo observed during a rare lull around 10 in the morning, his eyes. "Everything all right? Just tired," Maya lied, wiping down the counter for what felt like the 10th time in 5 minutes. "Must have been some night," he said.